Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachak, Wadash, double honor spin to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, who rule well, and taught us this 100% truth. Much peace and blessings be unto you, hopeful, let out there pushing out this word of thought, truth, and sincerity. To all you alchemists, say Shalom. I'm the Akira. I'm from the servants Yahweh Yahushai camp, coming in with a quick lesson, going to how this kingdom is through. Alright, this kingdom, America, Babylon the Great, spiritual Sodom and Egypt, is through. Alright, so this is the book of Micah, the 2nd chapter, verse 10. It says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest." Which, when you look at that word "ye," that adds a reference to the Israelite men. Hey, because this truth and these commandments are directed unto the Israelite men. And depart, which that word to depart means to get up out of, to flee, to leave. So for this is not your rest. And that word rest referring to this captivity. It's a lacking for the wind. If you can't hear my voice, it's the wind. But when it says that word rest, it really refers to captivity. And one thing to know is that you have a separation, two timestamps in the timeline of this captivity. You had hardcore bondage going back a few hundred years ago, and all the way up to now, circa 2023, where Jake had better, living standards, if you will, better living conditions. And with that being said, comes the idea that Jake, has privileges and they benefit off the system and whatnot. I wish that really ain't the case, man. But it goes on to say, because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with the sword destruction. And we look at that word polluted, or pollution in general, it really means a harmful substance that is poisonous to the environment. And what is poisonous, or what is really harmful? A philosophy. That's really what it's referring to. Alright, because all America does is promote philosophy, this philosophy, that. You get something known as westernization, or to be specific, Americanization. And really, this thing goes back to Hellenization and Romanization, which really that all, the Greco-Roman world, they're all categorized back into the classical antiquity. All right, so that's its own thing right there. And one thing to know is that if back by the Roman Empire, if you didn't understand the Greco-Roman language or partook in their customs, in their ways, you would be considered a barbarian. All right, so that's what they consider the Germanic tribes. They consider them as barbarians. All right, the Swabies, Anglo-Saxons, those people, those tribes of that sort. But going back, to now, you have Americanization, which is the ways of this captivity. And although you got a lot of these heathen nations going against Babylon, which is why, tensions are being stirred up, ultimately going to invoke World War III. All right, a lot of them still hold on to the ways of this of this kingdom. An example would be how they got McDonald's in rural areas and things of that sort. Some countries still hold democracy, which is the unification, if that's what that word means, to unify, various different nations, which the Lord never ordained it. The Lord never ordained it for nations to be unified as one. No. All right. The Lord would divide the nations, based off of their bloodline, heritage, and the heritage and the language. All right. But digressing back, I want to get a quick piece of doubt, but I'm going to read it. It says, "Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with the sword destruction." Yeah, because these, philosophies, these left-hand ways of thinking, they'll ultimately destroy you, man. Hey, because they go contrary to what the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, ordained. All right, now you got women being independent. There's radical feminism, which feminism is a form of philosophy as well. Now you got the woman out here compassing a man. And back before abortion became banned in the States, it was legal. And with that being said, yeah, the women having the mentality that they could literally destroy a child because it's in the fetus stage, and they have the so-called option to choose whether it's a being or just nothing. All right, but then you get Esau out there being unjust as he is. Which is why he can't be a judge. He can't be a ruler. All right, but you have him being as unjust as he is, giving people out there double homicide because they murdered the infant, but the woman could kill her own son. That's in her womb. See, so this place is, through, man. It's backwards and out of order. It's utter chaos. But this is the book of Isaiah, the 24th chapter. Verse 5, it says, the earth also is defiled, which thou art to defile, meaning to make unclean, under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws which thou wert to transgress, is another word for sin or iniquity, or basically to break the law. So they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant, therefore they have to curse, devour the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left, which as a future prophecy. Hey, because you haven't seen ICBMs pop off yet, but that's the ultimate destruction coming soon. I believe to be by this year. All through a nuclear fire. They look at how Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. They didn't have the technology we have right now. So it wasn't destroyed by ICBMs, but it was destroyed through the chariots. All right, fire came from heaven and it blew them to smithereens. All right, but now in this captivity, it's going to end off with a big fireworks show, and simultaneously by the chariots of the Lord, shooting their shots, their lasers, but also through the intercontinental ballistic missiles, the ICBMs, and they're going to pelt this place down and make it a lake of fire. That's why it says, therefore the inhabitant, and that's ultimately going to hit the whole world. Or you're gonna have ICBMs hitting the whole entire earth, primarily here in Babylon the Great. And we understand there's going to be certain areas that are going to be left untouched, for the remnant that the Lord has preserved out of every single nation, because the Lord ain't gonna, destroy, completely wipe out all nations and then just bring them back out of thin air. No, not out of thin air, because the Lord's gonna preserve, remnants out of every nation. So they're gonna be in these areas that are left untouched, and that. Ultimately, with that being said, that'd be fulfillment of prophecies, like when it says how the water was wormwood and they that drink it died because of how contaminated it was. That proves we're gonna have survivors. All right. Hey, but the only reason why the elect makes a mention they have salvation is because they're gonna get beamed up on chariots, and they won't be touched by that fire. All right, they won't be anywhere near it. But the point right there is, therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. Hey, so that's the future judgment coming upon this place, America the Great, Babylon the Great, as the scriptures say, Mystery Babylon the Great. But going back to Micah, the 2nd chapter, verse 10, it says, because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with the sword of destruction. All right, so this whole captivity is destroying Jake mentally, all right, and physically too. Now you got a lot of these Jake out here talking about, men are supposed to be, subjected to women, when it's really the other way around. All right, then we get condemned for being men. All right, just bringing out our character traits, based off of our gender, a man. All right, they call us toxic and whatnot. They don't need any of this testosterone around. All they want is that estrogen. And as a matter of fact, that's why they push out that Western that Western diet with the big burger, the big Coke, the large French fries, that whole combo. Ultimately, when you eat a lot of junk food, you start producing much testosterone, and you start producing more estrogen. All right, which, believe it or not, men can produce testosterone and estrogen. All right, but if you start eating clean and healthy and start working out, that's when you start getting testosterone production back. All right, but this whole captivity is to make you go against what the Lord ordained. All right, make you a fat slob, if you will. But this is the book of Micah, the book of 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, verse 10. It says, "Behold, my people, referring to the Israelites, is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt." I will not. The point right there was, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. Yeah, because Jake is ignorant. Hey, they had destroyed for a lack of knowledge, the scriptures say. And that was in the book of Hosea, the 4th chapter, if I'm mistaken. I can get that out, Babakusha. All right. Yeah, verse 6, it says, "My people," again referring to the Israelites, "are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest To me, it's saying that thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, I will also forget thy children. All right, as they were increased, so they sinned against me. Therefore will I change the glory and the shame. And we've been through those curses, man. All right, and even then, the Lord's not gonna, deliver them 2/3 of the nation of Israel. They're all gonna get smote on this side. All right, because what does the scripture say? The wages of sin is death. As a matter of fact, if I can get a quick piece of that in the book of James, it says in the first chapter, if I'm mistaken, or the second chapter. I'm gonna bear with me, Hakim. Bear with me. And if I can't pull it out right now, then so be it. Alright, Alright, this is the book of James, the first chapter, verse 15. It says, then when lust hath conceived, and what's lust, referring to the desires of this flesh, these carnal desires that go against the way of the Lord. So then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. Alright, because the scriptures say no sin shall go unpunished. Every work done has a consequence, whether right or good. Whether good or bad. All right, but going back to a second, that's just the 15th chapter. It says, Salak Yakim. It says, I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. All right, Egypt is referring to Babylon the Great, America. And that was proven in Revelation 11th chapter, verse 8, where it goes into the great city, the spiritual Sodom in Egypt, roughly paraphrasing right there. And because America is a big city, all right, it's a municipality. You got something known as a municipal corporation, which is a group of towns and villages, all entitled as one entity, if you will. But it goes on to say in verse 11, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy the land thereof. All these plagues referring to these hardcore prophecies, that damage this place's reputation, and just hurt it. It's what's that one word? Economy. All right, so we're headed for a big old famine and things of that sort, and it's just gonna get worse. All right, by the second. So it goes on to say, as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Yeah, as before, referring to the actual Egypt, or ancient Egypt, over there in Eastern Africa. But it goes on to say, Egypt, in verse 12, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Yahweh shall bring upon it. And that's been happening since 2020, the year of prophecies. Then you have 2021, the year of the hastening of Yahweh Shai. 2022, all right, the year of turn up, 2023, the whole year of the prophecies. All right, and now you have more you're starting to hear more news about the MOTB. So that's how we know we're almost close, onto the end. But anyways, I want to get the book of Micah, the book of Proverbs, the 29th chapter. Verse 16, it says, when the wicked are multiplied, transgression increases, but the righteous shall see their fall. And that wicked referring to Esau, Edom. And the thing is, and what I want to make mention is that, all right, because we understand that they're in power. The earth is given to the hand of the wicked. They've been multiplied. So now, it's these, draconian laws and whatnot. But the thing I want to make mention is that you don't even have to see Esau, commit these iniquities. You don't have to see him do these evil, wicked things. And because he just says it and Jake does it, you got that saying, monkey see, monkey do. Well, Jake acting like a bunch of monkeys, man. All right, they see and hear what Esau tells them to do, and what do they do? They do it. They do exactly what he says. All right, you guys are nothing but a bunch of clowns, man. A bunch of coons. All right, because in the book of Jeremiah, the 5th chapter, it makes a mention how they have surpassed the deeds of the wicked. So it's to the point where you Jake are more wicked than Esau at this point, man. Because Jake don't even got it. It's like Esau don't even got a sin. They just tell you to go off. So this is the book of Jeremiah, it's like the 5th chapter, verse 26. It says, "For among my people are found wicked men, and they lay wait as he that setteth snares. They set a trap, they catch men. As the cage is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit. Therefore they are become great and waxen rich. They are waxen fat. They shine, yea, they overpass the deeds of the wicked." That's the point right there. They are waxing fat, they shine, yea, they overpass the deeds of the wicked. They just not the cause of the fatherless, yet they prosper, and the right of the needy do they not judge. Shall I not visit for these things, saith the Lord? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? All right, and that's what the Lord's going to do. He's visiting this place, and he's bringing judgment against Jake, man. All right, but with that being said, I'm gonna end it off right there. Lord, with this one was edifying. To the next one.